the crazy world of Street Fighter V. And today we get Vega. Boy, Vega was a creep in this show. Okay, so we start off this episode with Vega stabbing this guy up in a cage fight, and these people are just delighted to watch this massacre take place. Like, they're overly happy watching this guy get stabbed up by Vega. Somehow Vega's hanging from a chandelier by his feet, and he deletes this guy in front of an audience. Nobody seems to care. Just look at this man's eyes. So we cut to the adventures of Ken, Ryu, and Chun-Li. Apparently Chun-Li's dad is going to be given some type of award in Spain for the Interpol bust that he pulled. I talked about this in previous episodes, you can check those out if you want. But he's sharing the award with Ken and Ryu. But they all decide to have a little mini vacation in Spain while he accepts the award. To pay Captain Dorai, Ken invites him out to a bullfighting event that they're going to later on. Of course, Chun-Li's dad declines because he has more work to do. It's literally all he does. It's not like anything bad can happen to Chun-Li, right? He also promises to take a break after the conference is over. I have a feeling that that's a lie. So they're attending this bullfighting event to watch the famous Vega Fabiola Sailor. I had no idea that Vega ever had a last name. This is news to me. Considering Vega wasn't his original name, I tend to think that he never really had one. Anyways, Captain Ponytail comes out to a lot of applause and screaming women. Also, Vega is 18 years old somehow. And then the creepiness starts. In this arena of a good at least 30,000 people, somehow he specifically picks out Chun-Li. He presents Chun-Li with his rose and tells her the murder of the upcoming bull will be in her honor. He also immediately sizes up Ken and Ryu. I think the two of them already have vibes that Vega's a creep to begin with. Anyways, El Matador immediately starts playing with this bull, and then Vega stabs it. Correct me if I'm wrong, I'm not really up to my bullfighting knowledge, but do they actually kill the bulls when they do this? Vega then tells Chun-Li that he dedicated that bull's life to her, and he did it to prove himself to her, and then presents... What is this show? He presents Chun-Li with the bull's ear? Is that what works on women nowadays? Just like mutilated animal ears? Oh, that doesn't work, okay. Anyways, after the event, we cut to Vega doing an autograph signing for a bunch of females backstage. Again, he spots Chun-Li. I'm sorry, already I feel like Ken and Ryu need to step in here. Never mind that though, suddenly there's a loose bull running around the arena. It's almost like the video recently of the woman who was wearing red at a bullfighting event and the bull hopped into the crowd and started attacking her. So of course, before the bull kills these kids, our heroes show up to save the day. Some guy's actually gonna shoot the bull, but Vega calls him off, I guess, to see how Ken and Ryu can deal with him. So Ken medium punches the bull and it does absolutely nothing, that bull's still coming at him. Anyways, Vega tells Ken to hit the bull at the base of the horns. Ken ends up taking the horns off of the bull. This knocks him out, or kills him, I honestly have no idea. Afterwards, Ken tells Vega that he owes him one and Vega just turns around and walks off. So the gang comes back to the hotel and guess who happens to be staying there? Yet again, Vega spots Chun-Li. Vega tells Chun-Li how much he's fallen in love with her, I guess at first sight, and all the other females start hating immediately. And then Vega goes back to signing their autographs. So now we cut to a blood moon, and Vega hopping from place to place outside of these hotel walls, which is crazy, but gets better, kids. So seemingly in the middle of the night, as Ken, Ryu, and Chun-Li are asleep, Super Stalker Vega breaks into Chun-Li's hotel room. Ken is somehow awakened at the sound of a 185-pound man leaping past his bedroom window. Might be one of the wildest statements I've made in quite a while. And I should also note that Vega, I said he broke into Chun-Li's hotel room. He actually just opened the door. Why it's unlocked, I have no idea, but there are also many floors up, so who would think a guy would just climb that high into the air and break into a room, right? So again, this sick freak starts touching Chun-Li in her sleep. Ken notices Chun-Li's back door is open. Oh my god, that is not a euphemism, by the way. And Vega steals a kiss from her in her sleep. Ken suddenly knocks at the door, perfect timing, as Vega has already made his escape. Is Vega a bullfighter or a ninja? Like, how did Ken not see him anywhere? Ryu is awakened late as hell by the fact that Ken was banging on the door. Ken said he saw someone in Chun-Li's hotel room, and Chun-Li said she believed it was Vega, but she thought she was dreaming. Huh, okay. And Vega stares out into the bloody moonlight. Apparently this was some sort of ritual that he just performed on her. Not alarming at all. So at this point we cut to Vega licking the blades of his claws, and he sees reflections of both Chun-Li and Ken in the mirror before he destroys it. This is still Street Fighter, ladies and gentlemen. We cut to an Interpol meeting, and they basically discuss how the crime syndicates that they've been looking for all this time have been working for Shadaloo in a nutshell. Also, in an interesting twist, Balrog is on Interpol. This show is crazy. Of course, he works for Shadalaw and nobody knows. Did I just say Shadalaw or Shadaloo? Doesn't really matter. It is also revealed at this meeting that Bison is its leader. I believe this is the first official mention of Bison in this show, and we're in episode 15 by the way, but I do believe he's been hinted at for quite a while in the show. Now we cut to Bison on the Shadaloo plane. I keep saying Shadaloo, but in the actual show itself they say Shadalaw, so I guess I'm just gonna call it that from now on. Ken gets an invitation to be at a grand ball. Ken and Chun-Li decide to go to the ball by themselves because Ryu's gonna go train. I've often heard the comparisons between Ryu on this show and Goku and Dragon Ball. They actually are pretty strong the more I think about it. Ryu definitely has the sort of naive country bumpkin thing that Goku had in the manga. Again, Chun-Li keeps going into a trance every time she has these flashbacks of Vega kissing her. Then we get the interlude, of course. And we cut back to Ryu training on the beach using Hado that he just learned in a previous episode with Dulcine. I'll cover that at a later date. Eventually I'll get through this entire series. I have no idea why I did it out of order. As luck would have it, Bison is driving past in a limousine as Ryu's training, and he senses the Hado. He tells the limousine driver, or should I say he threatens the limousine driver to pull over. This show is a lot of just men staring at people for some reason. It's the creepiest thing ever. Anyways, just as Ryu catches wind that he's being watched, Bison pulls off. And now we cut to this ball that randomly has Akuma present, by the way. So Ken and Chun-Li walk in, and apparently they've caught every single person's attention. Kind of eyes wide shut party is this. Now we cut to Vega hanging from a ladder on the ceiling. What is this? And Chun-Li goes into a deep trance. Did he slip her a drug when he kissed her? Again, this is a cartoon. Vega reveals that his opponent for this evening is Ken. Ken agrees, knowing all the creepy stuff that Vega has probably done to Chun-Li. There's no probably in that, but he has no proof. So we're getting an impromptu cage death match, as Ken called it. Ken flat out asks Vega what was he doing in Chun-Li's room, and Vega's creepy reply was, "I cast a spell of love on her." There's so much wrong with this. So Vega has provided Ken with a bunch of weapons and tells him to take his pick for this fight. Ken refuses. Vega will have no parts of that, by the way, and I don't blame him. Hey, I gave you the option to have a weapon. If you choose not to take it, that's on you. I'm using my claws. Anyways, Bison takes his seat. Of course, in Bison's spare time, he wants to see death matches. I don't know how to say this on YouTube, but Vega uses the claws on a part of his forearm area and then does the same thing to Ken. I'll let you guys try to read between the lines of that one. And then they rub each other's wounds before they engage in battle. Vega now tells Ken before they start fighting that they're blood brothers, as Vega gives an evil love speech. I'm not making this up, by the way. Also, from this point forward, Vega keeps referring to Ken as his brother. Chun-Li is gone at this point. So after Ken gets a shot on Vega's face, Vega immediately starts slicing Ken up. He seriously didn't take that very well. Also, I need to acknowledge how very pro wrestling it was of Ken to wear all white before, conveniently, this death match is supposed to take place. At this point, I have to say it as well, as Ryu is practicing the Hado and they keep cutting in between Ryu's training and Vega and Ken's fight. The track that's playing in the background that's accompanying this scene is amazing. I would honestly advise anybody to look up the soundtrack from this show. It honestly has no right being this good. But in any event, in Ryu's Hado training, he can sense that Ken is in a lot of trouble as he continues to get sliced up. At this point, he's starting to look like Bruce Lee at the end of Enter the Dragon. So in a moment of intelligence on Ken's part, he tries to break Vega's arm. Guess he can't slice him up if his arm is useless. Then again, maybe not. Anyways, despite being stabbed in the foot, Ken continues fighting. Doesn't really have a choice. Ken's landing strikes, but I guess the blood loss is starting to get to him. So, this guy shows up to let Bison know of the interposed dealings with Shadow Law. Bison almost kills him for interrupting. He eventually spares him, but the actual look on Bison's face is horrifying right here. Also, I get that Bison is a ripoff from the villain from Riki-Oh, but with the color palette they gave him on this show, he looks a lot more like him than he even initially did in Street Fighter, which is saying something, by the way. I forget the character's name, but if you know, please let me know in the comments. Anyways, as this fight continues and Ken continues getting stabbed, it's brought to Bison's attention that Ken is the son of the Master's Enterprise. So now his plan is to kidnap Ken for ransom. Like, Bison is really excited about this information. So excited that he starts floating. Anyways, we get to the end of this fight, as Vega once again tries to jump from the chandelier to land a final blow on Ken. Ken lands a Shoryuken, still gets stabbed in the process, and he somehow knocks Vega into the chandelier, as the crowd looks on horrified at the glass that falls on Ken, and apparently Vega just completely stuck in the chandelier. Look at Vega's body. Amazing that everybody chooses to be horrified now. Anyways, Ken is awakened by Vega's blood falling on top of him, as gross as that is. But anyways, Chun-Li is broken out of the, I don't know what kind of trance she's been in, but again, Vega said he put a spell on her, so whatever. Chun-Li gets the key and she breaks into the cage and reunites with Ken, and Vega somehow breaks away from the he breaks away from the chandelier and still attempts to stab Ken. Note, I don't even think he's conscious at this point. This is just, I guess, murderous reflex. Ken catches him and sets him down as Bison gives a round of applause. Just everybody's happy now. And Bison gets Ken and Vega treatment as we come to the conclusion of our whole Vega arc on this show. Honestly, I just wanted to cover the whole Vega saga of this entire show. This was over the span of about 4 episodes, and on the final one, a lot more craziness happens, but I want to save that for another day. In any event, I hope you enjoyed this journey into this wild ass show. Like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't, and you all have a good one, and I'm out.
Get it on that. Select to make it first pick. Get it on that. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6. Get it on that. Choose and pick the best one. Get it on that. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Get it on that. Select to make it first pick. Get it on that. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6. Get it on that. Choose and pick the best one. Get it